Hello loves, welcome to the Subdial Show. I'm Mitch, your pilot on this intimate journey into watchmaking, design, art and community. And before we jump into this episode, I want to thank you for trusting me with your time and attention. It truly means the world to me and I promise to do everything in my power to make this show as good as it can be. But for now, it's just you, me, and my guest for this episode, Lebond founder Asier Mateo. Now, Lebond works with Pritzker Prize-winning architects to create watches like you've never seen them before. Often taking inspiration from their past works, architects like Alvaro Caesar are given total creative freedom to reimagine what a watch could be through their own eyes. The watches of Lebond are emerging of creative disciplines, of contrasting scales, and of ideas from the most talented minds in the world. Now, I wanted to speak to Asier about the transition between architect and brand owner, his relationship with the objects he surrounds himself with, and how his design methods have changed moving from buildings to watches. In this conversation, we talk about how smell is important in packaging design, about his new watch, the Lebond Attraction, and what it's like approaching and working with incredibly talented architects. This is a conversation about design, about paying homage, and about focusing on the details. And believe me, it's all about the details. Let's get into it.
The idea, basically, Mitch, was to hire the very best architects in the world, give them complete freedom so they can create a timepiece inspired by their architecture. But they say, well, maybe that makes sense. That sounds appealing. Why not trying it? Sometimes changing scale, creating a watch or something smaller that is different, something is like a candy, it's like something nice to do, you know? When I was little, Mitch, I loved to play with the Lego and I also loved drawing. Then when I grew up, I started visiting cities and I was fascinated about some buildings. Also, I started to read about the famous architects, the very best, greatest architects in history, like Mies van der Rohe, Le Corbusier, the typical ones, the big names. And when I had to decide what I wanted to study, it was an easy choice. I chose architecture for sure.
Amazing. And what made you go from architecture? You've obviously had a big career in architecture, but why watches now? Why the move from architecture to watches? Because I assume that you could continue with architecture for a long time, right? So why pivot into watches?
Well, the first thing is that I am an architect. I love architecture. So maybe, I am pretty young. So maybe in the future, I'm going to continue doing architecture. I can do architecture in parallel. That's something that, I can continue doing in the future. But right now, I am in love with this project with Lebond. And basically, when I worked as an architect specialized in lighting design in Paris or New York, I had the opportunity to work with very prestigious architects, to collaborate with very prestigious architects, and doing some product design with them, mostly lighting fixtures. So I loved that part of design, the industrial design, and I loved having these interactions and meeting very prestigious architects like Caesar, blah, blah, blah. So I had this idea of creating Lebond like 5 years ago when I was visiting my sister in Switzerland. And I have always loved watches. I am a modest watch collector. I have some beautiful pieces. And as I was going to visit my sister to Switzerland very often, I visited some museums, I checked some factories, and I got interested more seriously in watchmaking. So I remember that I was doing paddle surf in the Lake Léman. My family was waiting for me. I am super bad at the paddle surfing, but well, the thing is that I had that idea when I was in the middle of the lake. Why not merging my two passions that are the finest watchmaking, watches, product design with architecture? So that was the very beginning of Lebond. Basically, Lebond comes from Le Bon Design, which is the good design in French. And the idea, basically, Mitch, was to hire the very best architects in the world, give them complete freedom so they can create a timepiece inspired by their architecture. And when I came out of the water, I told my idea to my sister, my wife. Well, my daughter was was a baby, so wasn't able to understand me. But they say, well, maybe that makes sense. That sounds appealing. Why not trying it? So I decided to continue on my vacations, enjoy Switzerland, and then after a couple of weeks, I made some calls. I studied the project, the business more seriously, and I thought that it had complete sense. So I decided to start it. That was 5 years ago.
Is this something that a lot of architects do? Because architects are very creative people, right? So is it something very common in the industry that people like branch out into different industries and and create something else, like, as you said, like product design and even like car design, or
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it common?
I have a lot of examples in here. Um, right now, I think that a lot of prestigious architecture offices are doing that very easy spin-off of having one department doing product design. And I have some examples in here. This was made by David Chipperfield, for example, that I have a lamp in there that was created by Alvaro Siza. So yeah, there are a lot of architects who really like designing beautiful products. They know about materials. They know about combining function and shape. So a lot of companies are hiring them to create these products that I think that in many cases are very successful. So I think it's a practice very common currently in very prestigious architecture offices that they have people only doing product design. And also it's because it's a completely different scale. So architects are used to work, I don't know, in houses, but also in big hotels. They spend many years in that specific project. So sometimes changing scale, creating a watch or something smaller that is different, something is like a candy, it's like something nice to do, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
They are very happy when they do product design too.
Amazing. And what is similar when you mentioned scale? Like, obviously architecture in sense of buildings is on a grand scale, but watches is so small. Um what similarities do they have in the process, in the design process, and what's very different about it? Like, obviously you don't need to design a watch for someone to live in, for
Mhm.
example. How did that differ from you designing a house or designing a watch?
Mhm. I think that there are a lot of things that are similar. First is that you have to merge shape. It has to be appealing, attractive, but it has also a function. It has to be ergonomic on the wrist. But if we talk about the watch, but you also have to be able to see the timing. And in a building, in an apartment, for example, it has to be functional. It has to be useful. I mean, the stairs they have to be appropriate so you can use it and it's not dangerous, for example. And I think that also the choice of materials it's
Mm-hmm.
very important.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the process of creating a building or creating an object in that right now we are talking about watches. So it's pretty similar. I think that the phases in architecture, there are 4 phases. to create a building. The first one is the schematic design. Then we jump into the design development. Then we have the construction documentation, and then we have the construction administration. So in watches, you can use the same phases. At the beginning, for me, the most important part is to have the concept, the idea. So you start sketching and you do the schematic design. You have the idea about the timepins, the inspiration, the overall shape, maybe a little bit the materials that you are gonna use. And then you jump into the design development, the second phase. In this phase, you are gonna define the rough dimensions, the materials, the finishes, and also the components. In case of the watch, if you are going to use a leather or a rubber strap, if you are going to use titanium because you want something light or you want to stay with stainless steel, the shape of the crown, the lugs of the watch, but also the dial for sure, the face of the watch, and then the hands. How do you want the markers? If you want numerals or not. Always keeping in mind the schematic design phase.
Okay.
Inspiration, the concept.
So you always reference back the concept when you're coming up with the ergonomics and the aesthetics.
You always have to keep in mind the concept of the watch. And these two phases are very important for the designer of the watch. In these phases, the designer is very active. And the manufacturer, the watchmakers, and the engineers, they are assisting the designer. Because in my case, architects, they are not watchmakers. So they need technical assistance and advice from the engineers and watchmakers. In the two next phases, the construction documentation and construction administration, the engineers work hard to create the technical package. Everything very detailed to millimeter in 3D, and it's going to be the base for the CNC machining. So then once the technical package is approved by the designer, by the architect in this case, we jump into the last phase, which is the construction administration. We start building, we start creating the real watch. And in this phase, we have 3 sub-phases, if I can call it like this. We have the prototypes, when you try the watch on your wrist, you see how it feels, if it's too heavy, if it's appropriate or not. Then you have the pre-series. These are real watches, but in a smaller quantity. And lastly, you have the series, the watches that are going to be for sale. So this is the full process of creating a watch, and in my opinion, is very similar to the process of building or creating a building.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I want to talk about the watch that you have on your wrist right now, because I've been seeing sneaks up. But before we do, I'd love to talk to you about your previous 2 watches.
Okay, sure.
So you work with 2 very famous architects. How is that process? How did that process start? Like, did you reach out to these 2 architects initially and explain to them the idea, or did you know them already, or how did that work?
Well, the very first step was to combine their personal assistant to have this first meeting, in-person meeting in Portugal in this case. So they were kind enough to give me the opportunity to go in there and to give my pitch, and to combine.
And these are very, very famous architects, right?
Yeah.
Global.
They are both. Well, they are the only 2 Pritzker Prize architects in Portugal. So they are the only ones. The Pritzker Prize in architecture is considered the Nobel in architecture. So there are very few architects who are granted with the Pritzker Prize. And I have to say that they are my favorite architects. I mean, I have like 10 architects that are my favorite. One year I'm more in love with the architecture of Caesar, another one with the architecture of Norman Foster, but they are the top architects nowadays. So they are very busy, and it's very complicated to have that first meeting. In that first meeting, it's like your first date. You have to be very concentrated to make it good because you want to have a second date.
Of
So the
course, yeah.
idea is that in Lebond, we offer two things to architects, to designers, that they really like. One is complete design freedom, and the second thing is very minimum paperwork. The minimum paperwork. We have to sign a contract for sure, but something simple, very clear, and then boom, complete design freedom.
Yeah.
They can create wherever they want. It has to be doable technically,
Yeah.
but they have complete design freedom, and they love that.
Yeah. So you gave them basically a blank sheet of paper to do sketches, and then you took those sketches and created the watch. Is that how the process worked?
Well, first of all, I have to explain them the process that I just explained to you, how it works. I make sure that they understand where Lebond is based, where we are manufacturing the watches, what is the price tag, who are our clients, where are they based, blah, blah, blah. I explain them a little bit about Lebond. I show them samples. I show them the movement that we are using. And then if they are happy with that, if they like what they are seeing and what they are hearing, they accept.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. And they created beautiful pieces.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the amazing. The Caesar and the Caesar is my favorite. I think just the angular case, and it's just a beautiful.
Yeah, it's one very special for me too because it was the very first one. But in here you can see the four of them. In each of our editions, we have two versions. I'm gonna show you the four of them in the camera.
Beautiful.
The two Caesar. One is the original with the beige dial, and the other one is the dark edition. And in here, the Soto de Moura, we have the original version and the dark version.
Incredible.
So these are the first 4 watches that were launched to the market.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to just quickly mention your packaging as well, because I've seen, you sent me a couple of your watches previously, and it's not just how the packaging looks or how it feels, it's how it smells as well. Can you tell people about how your packaging smells?
Yeah, that's something that I want to tell you a little bit about.
Yeah.
Let's leave the smell thing for the last part, and I can show you the packaging so people are going to understand. So this is our standard packaging. So it's inspired by an architecture book. As you can see, I have a lot of architecture books, but these are the Lebond packaging on the bookshelf as well. So for each of our watches, we have this book cover with the front elevation of the watch, with the back elevation of the watch. If you remove that cover, by the way, this is all handmade in Barcelona. Takes a lot of time. And in here we have the name of the author of the edition. And then you open the book and you have, boom, your watch with the warranty card and with the instruction card. So the thing about the smell is that we have a lot of clients in Asia, and normally some of them, I ask them for feedback. And one young man based in Singapore told me, I love the watch. I'm in love with the watch. The packaging is great, but the only thing is that this packaging smells to cardboard. And I say, okay, it's cardboard, so it smells to cardboard.
Of course, yeah.
And he told me, the smell is very important. I think you need a perfume. So For each of our watches, we are using a very expensive perfume. So it's the first impression. Well, the first impression is what you see, but also what you smell. So right now we are using this perfume that we carefully selected, and is part of our identity. So yeah, right now you will notice that the beautiful and the great perfume of Lebond packaging and watches.
It was incredible because I've opened a lot of packaging for a lot of watches, and I've never had all of my senses satisfied before. You know, it looks nice, it feels nice, it sounds nice when it opens, but it also smells good. It was incredible. It's such a
So
cool
you were
experience.
able to feel it, no? Even in Australia, the smell
Of course.
arrived all the way to Australia.
Yeah, it's a long trip, but it survived.
Yeah, I'm happy for that.
Yeah. Amazing. Let's talk about your new watch, the
Mhm.
Lebond Attraction.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the inspiration behind this one?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have to say that for this model, we changed a little bit our editorial line because I am an architect, but I am not a famous architect. So we always hire prestigious architects, but I have a little bit of architect ego. So I wanted to create my own piece, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to have my baby in the collection. So, as you know, Lebond is based in Barcelona, even if our watches are manufactured in Lille, Switzerland. And this year, 2026, is very special for Barcelona because it's the 100th anniversary of Antoni Gaudí's passing. So I said, Asier, that's your opportunity. You are going to create a piece in homage to Gaudí. So I started to think about that early 2025, and boom, 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 how can I do it? What's gonna be the inspiration? I don't want to do something typically Gaudi. I want to do something else. And I discovered a beautiful building that was created. It was a project by Gaudi, but it was never built. It was called the Attraction Hotel, and it was going to be built in Lower Manhattan, New York. And the very quick story is that two businessmen from the US came to Barcelona because they were fascinated about Gaudí's architecture. And they had a meeting with him and they said, hey, we want to have the Sagrada Familia, but in New York and twice height. So Gaudí at the beginning said yes. He started drafting some sketches, beautiful sketches, and the building was going to be twice the height of Sagrada Familia, 360 meters, and it was going to be at that time the tallest building in the world. So the thing is that with the schematic design created with all the plans and sketches and blah blah blah, Gaudí was a little bit sick. The trip to New York was too long at that time, and he decided to stop that project and to focus on Sagrada Familia. So that was a pity because it would have been a great building today. And the thing is that this project is not very well known, even by Gaudí's admirers, but it has been the inspiration for very important buildings. For example, Jean Nouvel got inspiration on this hotel attraction for the Akbar Tower in Barcelona. And the thing is that I decided to create the Lebond Attraction in homage to Gaudí, getting inspiration on the hotel attraction. And in here you can see this is Lower Manhattan and this is the tower. I don't know if it's visible on the screen. I don't
Yeah, I can
think
see.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it? Okay.
Yeah.
And also for this piece, we created a very special accessory, which is this
This
fully
is beautiful.
handmade wooden
Yeah.
case. This is 42 centimeters tall, and it is heavy. I can say that's heavy. And this is inspired by the upper part of that building, and you remove the cover, and in here you
Wow.
have your watch. It could be a
Mhm.
Lebond watch, or it could be your favorite timepiece that
Something
you have.
else.
Only a Lebond, but yeah, it is individual numbered as all of our watches, and fully handmade here in Barcelona. Is 20 hours artisan work per piece.
It's beautiful.
Thank you, Mitch.
So that's the top section of the building?
Yeah, this is the upper
Yeah.
part of the building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I can show you, I have in here the watch. This is the Lebond Attraction, and
Mm-hmm.
the face of the watch is inspired by the aerial view of the building.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have this disc, which is functional. It is the second disc. Then we have the hour disc and the dial, the bezel, and everything from it's inspired by that aerial view. Everything that you see in white is Superluminova, the hands and the markers, the minute markers, and the crown is very ergonomic and very inspired by nature, as
Mm-hmm.
Gaudí normally did. And in the back, you can see the exposed movement, but in the crystal, I think it's not visible in the screen, but you have printed on the inner side of the sapphire crystal
Mm-hmm.
the plan of the attraction hotel. Leather strap for this edition, and titanium verified for both case and the coin clasp.
I love how it's not super obvious, or for me, for a non-architectural person, it's not super obvious the connection between the watch and the building, which I love. And how did you conceptualize that kind of top-down view or aerial view on the dial? Did that start with like an idea that you had based in the building? Because I think you could have gone a lot of different routes. You could have kind of put a picture of the building on the dial and made it more conventional, or something like that. But you kind of you thought about it a lot and went deep into that into the
Yeah, you
architecture
have
to do
the
it.
easy path or the sophisticated path. And
And
I chose the
architects don't take
second
the
one.
easy path, right?
Yeah. I agree with you. It is not too obvious because we were looking for something that wasn't too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
This is the dark edition, and in here is even less obvious because the discs are darker. So,
Yeah.
but in the light is beautiful. So this would be the attraction, the Lebond Attraction in the original version, with the silver discs and the brown leather strap, and this one would be the dark edition with the anthracite discs and the black leather strap.
It's beautiful.
And they are very, very light, very comfortable, and very light. The watch head is only 33 grams, and the complete watch with the leather strap is 46 grams.
No,
We can also have it in rubber. This one is rubber, and it's a little bit more. It's like 52, something like that. But it's very, very light and very comfortable. Which one is your favorite, Mitch?
Oh, look, I think the dark one.
The dark one?
I think the dark one. That's my favorite.
It's very
Yeah.
elegant. It's very elegant.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. And I think seeing the discs turn just subtly, it's very nice. It's very cool.
Yeah. It's like the secret of the watch. The top disc is brushed, so you don't have markers. It's just the lines of the finish that indicate that the disc is turning, so that you have power reserve. That the
so
watch
you know.
And with sunlight, it's beautiful. It's like a beautiful touch.
Incredible. Are you more proud of this one because you designed it?
I'm very proud of the first one, the season one, because I like this one, but for me, well, the season one for now is my favorite. The concept, the inspiration, the sketches that Alvaro Siza did for this one are fantastic. So if I have to choose, the Soto de Moura is a great watch. Eduardo Soto de Moura is a watch collector, and he He has a very good taste. So he already had in mind when I met with him what he really wanted. He was sure about that, and I said, okay, let's do it how you like it. But if I have to choose the CISA, because it was the first, because it opened me a lot of doors to contact new architects, and because CISA is a very important architect, because he's very old right now. He's 93, if I'm not wrong. I hired him 4 years ago, and he was 89 when he created the Lebond CISA. And he was very kind. He prepared recommendation letters for me to jump into the next architects and try to convince the next architects. And I can say that he was successful, because we have new architects coming in the future.
Yeah. And anything you can tell us?
I will tell you, but off the record.
Off the record. Fair enough. And is that how you want to move forward? You want to keep doing the partnerships with other architects? Is there going to be more from you in the future as well? Obviously, your architect ego, as you said it, needs to be fed some more, maybe.
I think my architect ego is fed for now. So we have in the pipeline some very prestigious architects. I'm not. I am an architect, but I'm not a prestigious one. But the ones that are coming are really, really prestigious and the great architects. So we are going to continue that line. This one, the Lebond Attraction, I love it. I think it's a good watch. We are having great feedback, but it's like the exception in the editorial line. We are going to continue with the Pritzker and top architects for now.
No, incredible. It's I think it's such a cool concept, and I think it's I think all the good feedback is definitely warranted, because you're doing it's an incredible idea. I love it.
Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate it coming from you.